Hello, today we're exploring a special way of learning, and it's a core part of educational approaches like the IB program. Sometimes learning feels like filling a bucket. Someone gives information and we try to keep it. Now, that's one way. But what if learning was more like an adventure, a journey of discovery? This is key in the IB philosophy. We're talking about inquiry-based learning. It might sound complex, but it's beautifully simple. It means learning powered by questions, learning through exploration, learning by finding things out for yourself. Now, over the next little while, we have a clear path laid out to explore this fascinating world of inquiry-based learning. First up, we'll get grounded by asking what exactly is inquiry-based learning. Then we'll unpack how it truly differs from more traditional approaches. What makes it unique? We'll then journey through the learning process itself, visualizing how it unfolds. And importantly, we'll look at the roles involved. What do students actually do with this model? And equally vital, what is a teacher's role in facilitating this exploration? We'll also connect the dots and understand why this approach is so significant, particularly within the IB framework. And finally, we'll wrap up by touching on the core philosophy. That's the power of learning by discovery. Our goal today is to spark understanding and maybe even inspire some new ideas. So bring your curiosity and prepare to think critically, and let's get started on truly inquisitive minds. So, what is this approach central to the IB programs? Inquiry-based learning starts with curiosity, a child's natural wonder. It begins with a genuine question or a problem they want to solve or something interesting they notice. Imagine a student asking, why do boats float? Instead of just giving the physics answer, this approach guides them to explore it, maybe through experiments with objects in water. It puts the student, who's a learner, right at the heart of the learning process. They become active explorers driven by their own question. Now, how does this differ from some traditional lessons? Now, often traditional lessons give facts first. Then students practice, or possibly also memorize them. Inquiry-based learning, especially in IB, often flips this. It might start with hands-on activity or a puzzle or observing something real. Then students explore to grasp the ideas and facts. Now, this is a magnet example. Now, instead of just learning the rules, kids might first play with magnets and materials. They discover patterns, and they then ask why and connect their discoveries to different scientific concepts. Now, it emphasizes understanding why and how, not just memorizing the what part of the concept. So, what does this learning journey look like? Now, it's often a cycle, it's kind of a path of discovery. First, ask. So it kicks off with a real question. Something like, what if? Or why does? Or how can we improve? Genuine curiosity is the spark. The second is explore. Now, students become investigators. They might read, they might experiment, they might observe carefully, they might talk to people. They essentially gather clues. The third step is understand. Now, they look at their clues and findings and the information they've gathered and ask, what patterns do we see? They discuss and try to make sense of it all. It's like solving a puzzle. Then there's the explain part. So based on their exploration and evidence, they form an explanation, a solution, or an answer. And finally, it's sharing and reflecting. So they share the learning, maybe make a presentation, a model, or a report, and think about how they learned what they learned. So in this approach, what's the student's role? Um, you know, you might think, what is it exactly that they do? Now, they are the engine. Now, they are active participants. They ask questions that matter to them. They help plan how to find answers. They explore and experiment and investigate deeply. Now, they learn to take ownership of their own learning journey. And they work with others, share ideas, and listen respectfully of others' opinions. And the teacher? Now, in an IB classroom, using inquiry, the teacher is a vital guide and facilitator, not just someone who lectures or gives a monologue. They spark that initial curiosity. They ask thoughtful questions that push thinking deeper. Something like, what evidence supports your idea? How else could you look at this? And teachers provide helpful resources and materials. They create a safe classroom space where it's okay to explore and make mistakes and learn from them. So teachers essentially guide the process. So why is this inquiry approach so valued, especially in IB programs? Now, because it builds skills essential for today's world. It teaches students how to think critically, how to approach and solve really complex problems. And essentially, it nurtures lifelong curiosity and a love for learning. Now, it also helps connect learning in the classroom to the real life outside. So, inquiry-based learning, which is a cornerstone of the IB, is truly learning by discovering. It's active, meaningful, and certainly empowering to students. And it helps develop knowledge, caring, and curious young people ready to make a difference, who keep asking those wonderful questions. Just to let you know that this video essentially provides general information only and not, of course, endorsement of specific boards. Specifically, curriculum details, costs, policies may change over time. So please conduct your own research before making decisions. I'm merely sharing my personal perspectives and experiences. Also, I don't represent any organization, nor do I guarantee any outcomes, of course. So there you have it. But before we wrap up, I want to give you a quick sneak peek into what we'll be discussing in our next video. If you found this discussion helpful, in our next video, we are going to delve even deeper into the psychological aspect of IB. So now we'll be exploring how the IB aligns with different developmental stages, the crucial role of emotional intelligence in academic growth, and we'll share some practical strategies for you as parents can best support your child through the IB journey. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you very much.